Hey everybody, welcome to Tone Chaser, and today is the first video in what's probably going to be quite a long series of videos where I'm going to be doing deep dives into the producer packs for the Periphery 3 and Periphery 4 albums, Select Difficulty and Hail Stan. And I haven't listened to these yet. I'm very keen to get to a few of the songs, but I want to do all of them eventually. What order? Who knows? Leave a comment in the down below, and whichever song is most popular, maybe that's the one I'll do next. We'll see. But today, we're going to start off with a song that I know a lot of people know and like, myself included. We're going to be looking at Garden in the Bones from P4. That is what I have loaded up in front of me here. And for those of you who don't know what the producer packs are, they are individual stems of the album. So we can see this track up the top here. This is just the drums, completely isolated. Just the bass, all the rhythm guitars, what they call additional guitars, guitar solo, which is down here on the end, so we can solo just that on its own, synths and effects and various ambience and noise in the background, and of course the vocal track at the bottom. And it's separated into 7 tracks. Be nice if there was more, but at the end of the day, you know, they're not going to give us 50 individual tracks. They're going to isolate them down into lumps and groups, and it's going to be quite interesting to see what's going on here, and we can kind of dissect and work backwards and really hear how they got these incredible sounding albums and how they pieced them together using essentially what's here in front of us. So let's play and just start listening to the song, literally all tracks as it is. So I've done nothing to this yet. I'm not going to do anything either. I might adjust the volumes here and there just in case I need to, but let's start at the top, shall we? Let's listen to the drums, because this is one hell of a groovy song when it comes to these beats. A really nice, not slamming that snare, but he's got a nice solid hit to it. It kind of just jumps in at its level and stays there. Solid cymbal just riding its way through. Very cool. And for those of you who know Nolly and the Periphery guys and how well known they are in the producing world, in the metal producing world to be more precise, these guys are best in class in my opinion. It's just my opinion. There of course are loads of incredible producers out there, but these guys really know what they are doing. Nolly is quite well known, at least, for his incredible production skills. And I mean, just listen to the quality of these drums. He knows what he's doing. I mean, it's so snares are the most difficult thing in a mix, I find, and he has some of the best snares going. Let's move along. Very cool. Now, what I'm going to do is start jumping around the tracks and kind of isolating different parts of different bits. So, like for example, this whole intro is very much vocal driven, and there's the guitar riff and the bass riff, but there's not a huge amount happening instrumentally. So we'll come back to the vocals, of course. We'll absolutely come back to the synths and all the guitars. But let's listen to this section of the bass, because I think one of the most powerful parts of a Periphery mix is the bass. And this is something that I very much believe, and hear me when I say this. Your mix is as good as your bass player. I mean that. If you have a shit bass player, you have a shit sounding mix. Maybe not the bass player, but the bass sound, I should say. Think about all the great, I'll give you some random examples here, but think about some really renowned bands. You know who the bass player is. Metallica. Everyone knows who Cliff Burton was and how incredible he was. A random example that springs to mind, Wolfpack and Joe Dart. I don't know a single name of anyone else in that band, but I know who the bass player is, and he carries that band, especially with his insane pigeon neck. But, there's a lot of big bands. Nolly, for example, his bass tone is incredible. Listen to that monster. So much noise and so much distortion and grind. It's it is an octave down guitar essentially, but it holds such a different position within the mix. You want to create a V with it. The bass is just the foundation of everything. Like, for example, if I play this section of the whole song without the bass, bring it back in, all of a sudden the energy is there. Get a good bass sound, and you've got yourself a good sounding mix. It doesn't really matter how good or bad your guitars sound. Drums, yeah, you're going to notice it if they sound a bit shitty, especially if you haven't gone in and really made them humanizing. If you're not using real drums, which, let's be real, the vast majority of people use samples these days because, you know, logistics. Not everyone has a drummer in a sound room with a big mixing and suite of mics that they can just go in and just, you know, play. Everyone just clicks it in with MIDI, let's be real. And even then, so it's quite easy to get a good sounding drum. It's quite, with amps and amp sims and whatnot, it's quite easy to get a good sounding guitar tone. And I think a general rule of thumb, if you want to improve the sound of your mixes, improve the sound of your bass. Don't be afraid to have it loud in your mix too. Whoa, monstrous. Let's listen to those guitars. I'm going to go back to the beginning, actually, and listen to these, because it's not too dissimilar to what we've already been listening to. And you notice, it's not that gainy. It's quite airy as well. There's a lot of crunch happening, for sure. But yeah, it's not thick and full and just hammering away straight away. It's actually quite reserved and pulled back. There's not a lot of gain happening there, and I think that's kind of the power to it. They're letting the drums really kind of carry this part. If I solo just the drums, bass, and these rhythm guitars, mute the guitars, it sounds so thick and mighty, and the guitars really don't do much. They add a bunch of clarity and really focus you in on the riff, for sure. But all the power is in the bass and the drums behind it. Very cool. Let's listen to the chorusy bit where it starts being... Here we go. Here's something that I think Periphery do quite a lot. They add an octave lower. One of these tracks has an octave low, and it's quite subtle and low in the mix, but I've noticed they do this quite often, and I know it's something Misha likes to do a lot. Here, low end. Maybe my ears are tricking me, I'm not sure, but I know they do that in a bunch of other songs when we get back to some others. There's some riffs that I know had that on, so I'll point them out when we come to it. I wonder if they're doing the same thing here, just very subtly in the background. You know, it's a shame we don't have more of the tracks to kind of spread out and have a look, but let's add the bass and the drums. That's a really good tone. It's a nice balance they've got there with the gain. It's just enough to feel solid and thick, while still maintaining a lot of air in the crunch as well. There's a lot of breathing room for this. I like that. I like it a lot. I mean, you know, like I said before, Periphery know what they're doing in the studio. That's for sure. Let's go back to the beginning. And we won't spend too long on this because I think this is essentially a repeating part. these guys know ambience so well. I love this stuff. Delays into reverbs before the amp, after the amp, and so on. There's so many different combinations you can do, each with their own different sound and whatnot. And I think that's a video I might have to do at some point, where, you know, where do you put your delays in your chain? Because you can put them anywhere, and you'll get different results depending on where you put it. So if you put a delay or a reverb before your preamp and your gains, depending on how much gain you're running, you can get some really nice ambient, you know, mixtures of sounds happening. But, you know, that's for another day. Same thing, just a bit more gain happening, really. Played with a bit more oomph, there's a bit more pick attack happening, which I like a lot. It just adds to that dynamics, you know. Playing the same thing, just pick it a little harder. Your brain will subconsciously pick up on these things within a mix, and that's how it elevates it. Yeah, you go to that next level, bring it up. So cool. And I'm pretty sure that just repeats pretty much throughout the whole song. We'll come back and check these bits out, but I'm pretty sure they're going to be the same sort of thing. Now, as we get down to the bottom parts, we're almost up to the vocals, but let's have a listen to the synths and the effects and whatnot, because you never know what's happening in a Periphery song when it comes to this stuff. Nice synth, nice synth. It's like a slightly distorted, saturated bell sound. Dark mechanical choir. Quite boxy as well, but that's nice. It's just not going to overpower. You know, this is a very vocally driven song, so quite simple. Let's listen to what happens here. Very cool indeed. I'm pretty sure that's just going to do it's the same old thing throughout. Like I said, we'll have a look at these bits when we get to them. Now it's going to be the fun bit. Let's listen to some vocals. Good old Spencer. Get him up in here.
Mercy like a gun when you've come undone.
Now, before we go too far into this, there are two things I always like listening to when it comes to vocals. The reverbs and delays and just the general ambience, because I'm just a huge sucker for that sort of thing. Give me reverbs, give me delays, all day, every day. I love it. But the thing I like most about listening to isolated tracks like this, especially vocals, is hearing all the back-end harmonies that are going on that you never really hear when you're listening to the song. You might pick out the odd one here and there, sure, but you always notice it without necessarily hearing it, if you know what I mean. There are some harmonies that will not jump out within the mix, but you'll hear them in isolation like this, and they're just stunning. And I'm absolutely sure there's going to be a bunch. Like I say, I've not actually listened to these tracks before. This is the first time, you know, listening with you guys here. So I'm really, really excited to see what harmonies end up going on throughout this track.
Mercy like a gun when you've come undone. I've awoken in the hour that receives no one. The sound of a triumph will shake me out until sunrise. The heat of tomorrow,
Double track.
released as the wind blows. A beating stare from all the triumph, no sleep tonight.
Probably back out the single, probably more.
The hell from
Oh no, it's not. It's not actually. I thought it'd go to double track here for the build up, but it actually goes back to single track. They've added some distortion to it, and not much else. I'm actually, it's caught me off guard there. It's not what I would have done, but then these guys are better than me.
The hell from below, the wolf and the soaring crow. Am I losing control? Am I losing all of control? All spirits and trance, I toss and turn in no romance. Drumsticks under the grass, the present breaks like glass.
Very cool. I'm surprised I've not actually, like, this song, yeah, I know it, but I've never, at least with this song, I've never done like a deep listen. Have you ever done that thing where it's middle of the night, maybe you can't sleep or whatever, good set of headphones, put them on, lay down, and you just, almost like meditation, you focus in on the song and you listen, and you really listen. Maybe it's a producer thing, I don't know. But I do that on a lot of songs, and I've not done it on this song, but yeah, that distortion, quite cool, very nice. I mean, it certainly adds the to the ambience of that section. It, like I say, with the picking attack on the guitars, add a little bit of distortion, add a bit of grunt, add a bit of gain to it, and it elevates it to that next level. They've done the same thing with the vocals here, as well as just, the delivery being more powerful. The after effects, the distortion. They've not added tons of reverb and tons of delay. They've just grunted it up a bit more in your face, bit more presence. It's clever. I like it.
Stripped of all the air in my lungs now, flee from the walls so alone. Stampede in the room like a buffalo, raise me up in my thoughts. The hell from below,
Ooh,
the
harmonies
wolf and the soaring crow. Am I losing control? Am I in my thoughts? The hell from below.
So we've got a lower harmony now.
The wolf and the soaring crow. Am I losing control? Am I losing all of control? All spirits and trance, I toss and turn in no romance. Drumsticks under the grass, the present breaks like glass. Upon the burial light, things of their best. Fire, water, tenacious. Upon the burial ground, upon the burial ground.
Woo. This guy has a set of lungs on him. And I know there's a lot of production here. I reckon they've done it through pitch shifting. It's got that in the background. He can probably do it, but that, I'm sure, by the sounds of it, is the main track. And they've taken it, pitch shifted it down, so it's an exact copy. It's not like a doubling up and layering from that point. Well, obviously it's layering, but layering in different takes.
Fire, water, tenacious.
Maybe he took a different recording, but yeah, interesting.
The burial ground, upon the burial ground.
I could be wrong. It could be an actual track. It's hard to tell, really. And, yeah, it's one of those things I wish I could actually isolate just that part, but, make do with what we got, right?
Fire, water, tenacious.
I've done that in the past where I would take the actual track and pitch shift it down and layer it up underneath to do exactly that sort of effect. And I had much better results pitch shifting the main track down, so that's why my mind jumps to it, but who knows whether it is or not. And that's where we get to the glitchy bit. Now, there's a little bit of stuff happening here, so let's see what that is. Yeah, probably just a tail, isn't it? And we've got the glitchy bit. Very cool. It's an old plugin I used to use years and years ago, and I can't remember the name of it. It's like Glitch Blue or something like that. And it was a free plugin that would do these sort of effects to anything. You just load up your track, and you put this plugin on that track, and it would do swells and dips and dives and gating and all sorts of fun little bits, and you could randomize it. It was a really wicked plugin, and it was free too. And I knew it had the name Blue in the title in some way. I just can't remember exactly what it was called. If any of you guys know what I'm talking about, put it in the comments, because I want to find that plugin again, because it was really good, and it was from these guys that I discovered it. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's what they're using on this track here. Let's isolate just this bit of guitars here. That's nice. I'm going to add the vocals.
Between the living and the dead, we all move.
I love doing that. I absolutely love it. That's one of my favorite things to do when it comes to isolating tracks like this. Listening to just the vocals with all the ambience-y sort of effects happening in the background. So much so, you know what, let's do it properly. Let's add them and add the vocals here when they kick in. So yeah, mute guitars, mute bass, mute drums. And listening to that is some of my favourite stuff to do.
Between the living and the dead, we move. Between the living and the dead, we all move.
So fun. I want to listen to just the vocals on this bit. So we got the
Between the living and the dead, we...
Now there's the layers. Now we're talking. Nice reverbs. Nice balance between all the harmonies. Different layers. Lots of stereo.
Between the living and the dead, we move.
Sing those chords.
Between the living and the dead, we all move. Shift all placement, but they're sifting you. Between the living and the dead, we all move.
Ooh, now that is nice. That's one of those bits I meant from earlier. I've never noticed that section before. The on the stereo left and right there at the end. Listen again.
And we all move.
That's cool. I've never noticed that bit before. This is why I do this. This is why I love audio and audio production and just dissecting and reverse engineering. Oh, that's so cool. I've got to listen to it. Actually, I'm going to do that thing where I add the guitars and stuff in. I'll do these ones.
Between the living and the dead, we all move.
Speaking of guitars. Let's listen to both of these parts, because I wonder if one guitar's in one, and we got the like there's a soft bell sort of sound happening in this part. Let's listen to just the guitars first. So we've got one guitar in this ear and the more chord rhythm guitar in the other one. Not fully panned, but I can hear it at least. You probably can as well. I love this chord. Very nice. Let's go back and listen to the other half of that. There it is, that soft. What is that? It's E piano? Yeah, there's a little bit of attack on each key. Ooh. Let's have the guitar. You know, it's time. We gotta listen to this. This is probably one of my favorite bits of the song. Just this guitar part, because it's just so creative and so cool. Let's have the bass and drums. Go back. Just the bass and drums. I'm sure they're adding an octave lower in there. I'm sure of it. It's not there? There. Maybe it's so quiet if it's there, but anyway. What bit haven't we listened to? So we got this bit down here. This was cool. Just backs up the guitar part. It's almost like a digital flute sound. Other than that, you know, obviously really hard-hitting attack sound. The actual sustain of it is really quite sweet. That bloom of reverb too. Beautiful. Oh, listen to it. It's screaming in the background. Oh, it's so dirty. Guitar solo. Nice little tail at the end there. I like that stuff. It's very cool. Now, before we go too far, I want to go back and listen to just the vocals of this whole section on its own, because I reckon there's some treats in there that's been missed.
The claim we stake, a land within our wake, guarded in the bones, a head dressed down in the soil we own. Wow! We build it on the bullshit, we build it upon the burial. Guarded in the bones, a head dressed down in the soil we own. Yeah! Stripped of all the air in my lungs now, feeling so alone. Stampede a buffalo.
For such a vocally driven song, there's not a huge amount happening, actually. It's really very much that one part just kind of just puts the whole thing on its back. You know, props to Spencer. He delivered on this one.
Feeling so low. Pull out of the ground from below. You've given quite a show. Stamping in the room like a buffalo. Raise me up in my soles.
God, I wish I could sing. Impressive. Very, very impressive. Yeah, it's just that bit from earlier underneath the solo. Just thickening it out. Filling the little gaps in between all the chong 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 going on in the bass and guitars, you know. And the thing is with the song, in this song, we've not really listened to much of the drums because there's not much happening. It's a lot of this. You know, straight follows the beat, follows that rhythm, follows that pattern. Obviously, of course, you know, he's kind of going for it here at the end of the song. But there's a lot of this, I mean. Still, a damn good performance. Let's listen to this bit. Ah, it's the choirs from earlier. We got some booms at the end. Let's listen to the booms. Yeah, that's a kick drum. Lots of reverb. Classic. Yeah. And they just finish out the song, really, don't they? Let's listen to the guitars in this section. It's so thick. Now, there's not much left in the song, really, is there?
Between the living and the dead, we mercy like a guide.
Whoa. And just that dead cut at the end. Very cool. Well, just like that, we're at the end of the song. Beautiful, really. And actually quite simple. When you break it down, we've got section, build, middle 8, section, or kind of back to a chorusy build area, solo, another chorus at the end to finish her off. Straightforward, you know. I'm just not too surprising that this was one of their singles going into it. So, very, very cool. I like it a lot, and I really look forward to going into all the other songs. I mean, yeah, I know this is a longer video, but this stuff is cool, and there's a lot of little gems that you can dig out from all these. And for example, I can tell you, like, I've got, so that was Garden in the Bones. Let's zoom out a little bit. Which one is it? This one. There we go. So that's Garden in the Bones. Let's close that one down. I've loaded up these songs here, and you can see Reptile just goes on and on and on. Of course it does. But Loon, Only Smiles, Satellites, all these songs. I mean, I'm going to do this one pretty much next. I'm pretty sure of it. You know, well, at the same time, let me know in the comments what you guys want to hear next. I'm very, very, very keen to check out this song. This song has a lot of significance for me. I found this song at a very difficult time in my life, and when you're going through some shit and you latch onto a song, well, this was one of those for me.
The snow coming down now, like December, burning up in the summer rays. But I'm not stumbling.
Anyway, that's for another video and for another time. Let me know what songs you guys want to do next. I have, like I say, these are the only ones I've just kind of hand selected, just a bunch of them, dragged them in and over. And but I've got every song from P3 and P4, and I would quite happily go through every single one of them. I love this shit. So hopefully you do too. If you're still watching, well, that's kind of crazy. Props to you. Leave a like, share, subscribe. This has been Behind the Mix. I'm Tim with Tone Chaser, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care, guys.